Saboteur. Warning. Controversial subjects and ideologies portrayed ahead for a semi-historically accurate fiction story. It's 1941 and Sam, a 23-year-old saboteur, is on a mission in the USSR to determine if Russia is a threat to the United States. He checks his concealed self-reloading crossbow pistol and ensures the syringe of poison is properly stored. He sits silently in the ceiling, eavesdropping on the Russian diplomats and generals. They are discussing Germany and Japan as they catalog the meeting on recording. One speaks in English to show his stance. If Japan attacks the Americans, they might as well poke sleeping giant who wake up and crush them. We should not get involved, as we are spread thin already as the Germans line our borders as well. Only show we won't be pushed round. A Russian advisor with an American education leans toward the recorder. As of today, the day of June 21st, 1941, reports of Germans advancing on our northern territory in direct violation of our treaty. The world is at war, gentlemen. Just be ready for anything, he says. One of the others responds, "We have seen what their bombers and fighters can do. Let the Americans deal with the Japanese. We should focus on our borders." Sam hears, leaving disappointed. Sam shakes his head. The Russians won't help either side, and just watch their own backs, smart. But they won't help outside their own country. Either way, he will have to fight the Germans with espionage and deceit, create mistrust among the ranks, and provide the Allies with locations of prison camps and bases of various types. He has very little resources, and resistance safe houses are spread out. But first, he has to escape the headquarters of the Kremlin Senate in Moscow. Moving carefully in the ceiling, he goes back to the bathroom he went into to access the crawlspace, and silently drops down to the floor in a stall. He waits until the men's room is empty, and then walks out, keeping his head down. No one stops him, and he uses the back stairs to exit the building. The streets of Moscow are dangerous, as informants and agents of the KGB are everywhere, as well as random police patrols. He runs into a patrol, and the soldier asks where he is going so late at night. He uses his skills and says, "Prosto idu domoi, od druzevi gostiach," just walking home from visiting family comrades, in perfectly accented Russian. The soldiers laugh and say, "We'll go quickly home." He doesn't even break into a sweat when they check his identification before letting him go on his way. They don't know he is from the American OSS, or he would be dead already. He keeps moving, exiting the city center, and finds a place to sleep in a barn out in the countryside after hitching a ride on a farmer's truck unseen. The next day, he changes into lower-class clothing and catches a train to the next big city, Minsk. He repeats the trick and makes his way west towards Germany. Sam spends several months in smaller cities and towns, but eventually he reaches the border in winter. The Germans going into the 6th month of fighting in northern Russia, completely unprepared for the harsh Russian winter. Entering into Germany, he begins his secondary mission. It takes some looking, but he locates a small apartment and rents it using fake papers and names, using it for reconnaissance as he begins to make detailed maps of the unit locations, guard shifts and routines, supply routes, everything he can think of. He watches the German SS for a week. They're very vigilant in their record keeping, so he has his work cut out for him. On the 7th day, he knows that trucks are leaving for one of the battlefronts, and when. With only one path into the base, he sets up down the road as he contemplates the sanity of his idea. He has 5 20-pound blocks of C4 set for 5 hours with magnets attached. Laying in wait, he hears the trucks approaching and knows he has to time it just right, or he will be seen, or worse, get crushed by several multi-ton trucks and transports. He rolls under the half-track leading as its front wheel misses him by an inch, spraying his face with mud and slush as he blindly reaches up between the transmission and cab. The magnet sticks strongly to the mounts as it passes, half-tracks churning to either side of him. The line of trucks follow too closely to see him. He lays, placing the timed charges on every other truck as it passes, the convoy pulling each other with tow rope. The last truck hits a rut, and As Sam wipes muck from his face, looking toward the rear of the convoy, he sees it fishtailing in the snow. It approaches, and his heart races. As the front passes over him safely, the 4 rear wheels churn towards him as the truck drifts. He throws the last charge onto the frame as he rolls, jerking to a stop, feeling his arm suddenly become immobile, shoulder out of its socket as the truck's wheels roll over it, pressing into the cold mud instead of crushing. He lays motionless, holding his breath, so no soldiers see the vapors as he lays covered in mud and slush, invisible in the muck. Once out of sight, he gasps for air and moans as he pops his shoulder back in place. Around 5 hours later, as the trucks are refueling at a depot just before the put-off bomb checks. Feeling safe in their homelands, the C4 timers hit 0. The resulting explosions are massive as they level the fuel dump, detonating it violently, and everything within 200 yards is flattened. Light field guns, heavy transports, and a regiment of heavy tanks are blown into scrap metal as the sound is heard 10 miles away. Sam being long gone over 40 miles behind, as the Germans assume an air raid or military unit in the area is responsible. Sam had just made contact with a resistance group as his watch beeps, signaling the elapsed 5 hours till detonation. The leader of this resistance in Germany, Sam notes, is a German himself that opposes Hitler's views. He greets Sam happily and relays that Air Recon has confirmed that mission Sticky Surprise was successful and the depot is confirmed destroyed. He looks at Sam. "How did you manage to do that?" he asks. Sam smiles. 5-hour timer on C4. It's about a 3-hour drive in good conditions, but it's winter. So I gave it an extra 2 hours and rolled under the trucks. You're either the luckiest man I ever met, or the gods walk at your side, a French resistance fighter says, laughing. They move into the underground bunker, and the smell of food wafts from inside, as Sam realizes how hungry he is. The German resistance man talks as they eat. "I can't stand what this madman is doing to our country. The Jews were bringing in money and helping the economy before this monster took power." He nods to the others at the table. "These are my closest friends and confidants. They help organize things and spread news and what is needed to keep spirits up," another soldier says. "We also distribute food and supplies to the poor areas where it is needed, after we have taken a percentage for the cause, of course." Everyone chuckles. Sam looks around and sees a lot for the cause. "How much do you take per shipment?" Sam asks. "Oh, about 10% for every 2 men for the cause," says Alexander Hoffman, laughing as he looks around at 10 men. 10% being enough for 50 people to last 3 days. Sam smirks. "Seems reasonable to me," he says, avoiding confrontation. "Not very honorable. Does the OSS know of this squandering?" He thinks. For the night he sleeps in the trenches. The next day, Sam is shown his new winter quarters, a small house just outside town. A German woman meets him and shows him around. It's cozy and nicely laid out. He falls asleep, thinking about how much better this was than the mud and cold of the trenches. He is fast asleep when the German woman from earlier puts a hand over his mouth and whispers in his ear. "An SS unit is searching the town for spies and resistance fighters, so you should hide right away," she says. He laughs, then speaks in perfectly accented German. "Oh, aber ich bin ein deutscher Mann, der mit seiner Frau im Bett liegt." Oh, but I am a German man in bed with his wife. The woman is surprised, then laughs. "Aber sicher doch," of course, she says. The rhythmic sound of boots and the opening and closing of doors grows closer as they speak. "How did you know to warn me?" he whispers. "I am a German radio analyst and was double agent working for the Americans in Russia as well, before the war got worse. I hear almost everything they do in these parts," she says, kissing him as the door is kicked in. She sits up slowly. "Oh, Emma Chambers. Sorry for the intrusion, ma'am. Doing a regular sweep of the area," the death squad soldier says to her. Then, "Guten Tag, Herr." "Good day, sir," he says to Sam, who says, "Hello. Ich weiß, dass unser Anführer uns den Sieg bringen wird. Mach weiter so. Hello." Hello. I know our leader will bring us victory. Keep up the good work. Jawohl. Yes, sir. He says, and leaves. She whispers in Sam's ear. Quick, get your papers ready. She says as a soldier comes back in. He hands him his German papers and he leaves after finding them acceptable. As he leaves, he reminds Sam to get his papers renewed as they expire in a few days. That was too close. The woman whispers in his ear as his heart hammers in his chest. Well, I guess we better go report to the council, he says. They kiss and leave to see the leaders of the German resistance. They explain how they managed to escape death, and she hands over the radio communications transcripts that she risks her life to bring to them. Emma looks at Sam and blushes. The Council of the Resistance tells them that the time has come to act, and that they have a plan to kill the Fuhrer. The plan is simple. It's a bomb, but it's just strong enough to take out Hitler's plane, Alexander says. Sam makes his own preparations as well, while Emma goes back into the Hornet's nest to get more information for Allied forces and resistance fighters. After a week of training and learning the local customs, he gets his gear ready and meets up with the other members of the team. They all have a quick smoke and joke before heading out. Their cover is that they are a film crew doing a documentary about famous German victories. They board a train to Berlin, where they change to the S-Bahn that will take them right into the heart of the capital. The Fuhrer's plane comes in after several Bf-109s land. A few stay airborne and he disembarks as he is surrounded by the SS and other soldiers that then begin checking the aircraft for explosives despite checking prior to takeoff, giving Sam the feeling that this isn't going to work with how the explosives are shaped, causing him to rethink the plan. They run the cameras for the most hated man on Earth as they film the planes doing passes and maneuvers, while the monster speaks of how superior this new aircraft is. Just then, a screaming sound can be heard as an aircraft flies by at 500 miles per hour with no propeller. It climbs into a turn, shooting past the level-flying 109s as if they weren't moving. The team begins to get more nervous as the Fuhrer's rant begins to escalate, and they know that if they screw up now, they will be killed instantly before they can run away. The Fuhrer begins shouting about how the plane should only have German men inside it, as he lifts his arm and waves towards the Me-262. A few of his half-hearted followers suddenly seem fearful as well. Then, someone gets too close, and an SS soldier opens up on the man with an MP40, and even the hardcore believer's blood runs as cold as Sam's, and the resistance fighters posing as a camera crew. Hitler walks over to Sam as he holds a camera on him. He stays calm as he says, Den Sieg zu sichern. Grüße, ich wurde grüßen, aber es wurde dein Bild in der Kamera vermasseln. To ensure victory. Greetings, I would salute, but it would mess up your picture in the camera. He says, nodding as he imagines a knife in his neck, smiling. Hitler nods and replies in German, Vielen Dank. Guten Appetit. Thank you. Enjoy your meal. After the dinner and second speech, the camera crew don't see the smirk on his face before they rush off to the train. As they leave, the Fuhrer shouts, Ich liebe euch Jungs. I love you guys. Hitler having stayed for his adoring public, it gives the team time to carry out the mission. At Hitler's aircraft hangar, Sam rappels down from the ceiling and opts for Plan B as he slips onto the wing of the Focke-Wulf FW-200 Condor, moving to where the wing meets the body. Wrapping the timer in C4, he molds it to the area and sprays an odorless paint that matches the aircraft onto it. Then connects a string to the timer set for 1 hour. He waits till the soldiers guarding the plane line up and salute as their leader approaches. As he sees the pilot enter the plane, he pulls the strings on the timers up from the roof, activating the 1 hour delay to compensate for the Germans' practice of 10 to 15-minute test flights to check for barometric pressure-triggered bombs. He lays under an air conditioning duct on the roof as the plane takes off and does a few at altitude turns, then lands 20 minutes after the timers were activated. They spent 10 minutes searching for explosives and didn't find the ones he put on the wing and fuselage connecting points, as they look like the body of the plane, and the ticking is muffled by the C4 and soundproofing around the timer itself. Hitler boards the plane that he rigged, and they take off with 20 minutes left on the timers. Sam gets up and rushes to the edge of the roof, jumping off as he rappels down. Turning from the building, he darts away, trying to get as far as possible before they search the area later. He gets to a sewer entrance and drops down it as he heads back to the headquarters to report. He arrives and goes into the debriefing room where he is congratulated for helping with the greatest assassination attempt of all time. "What do you mean attempt?" Sam says. Alexander walks up. The explosives did their job, but Hitler survived the crash. He says to Sam, "So what happens now?" Alexander frowns. "We have a meeting spot for the resistance in the Alps. It's a hidden bunker, with enough supplies to hold out for years if need be. Meet me there after your next mission. And Emma may not make it. The SS has grown suspicious, and they're keeping an eye on her now. So we need a new message interceptor. Emma knew the risks. She is on her own now." The German resistance leader Alexander then gets up and walks out of the room. Sam looks at the others and says, "We can't just leave Emma behind to die." One of the resistance members nods. He's right. We rescued her, and it would be wrong to just leave her now. Sam gets up and begins heading to the door. Sam moves along the sidewalk and sees Emma being escorted by the SS to a waiting car. He looks around, seeing no one about. He readies to quick-draw his pistol and approaches the two SS soldiers. "Nice day today, huh, fellas?" he says in German and shoots both of them point blank. He grabs Emma's wrist and runs her to a waiting car that they get into and drive off in as two SS military jeeps appear, giving chase. Emma looks at Sam. "You came back for me," she says. "Of course I did. Now hold on," Sam replies as he drives the car down alleys and through the streets, the two military jeeps close behind. As they turn a corner, the first jeep T-bones their vehicle and stops them dead. The second pulls up, and before they can react, they're blocked in. Sam pulls out his Colt 1911 and fires into the jeep beside them 7 times, going temporarily deaf in the process. He and Emma duck down behind the bulletproof firewall, the front windshield exploding as the jeep ahead opens fire. There's a silence, and then a release of mags as the men reload. Hitting the gas, the car slams into the soldiers ahead, and Sam jumps out of the car, running up close as he fires off 2 7-round mags rapidly into the overcrowded vehicle. Rushing back to the car, he and Emma drive away, leaving the heart of Germany behind. A day later, they sit in a safe house out in the countryside, waiting for the others to arrive. A month passes, and there's no sign of Alexander or anyone else from the mission. The two of them wait, and when they finally emerge, they will avenge their friends and finish what the OSS began. They learned that Pearl Harbor was attacked December 7th last year in 1941. The US has officially declared war on Japan and Germany. There is a knock on the door, and both jump up with their pistols in hand, ready to take down the threat. A voice calls from outside the door. "It's me, Sam. It's okay." Sam unlocks the door and lets in the man. "Where have you been? I was getting worried." The man takes off his hat, revealing himself to be Alexander, the German resistance leader. "I've been working on our cover story and getting it straight with everyone. It looks like you two have been doing your part," he says, looking at their gear and the maps on the table. The date is April 30th, 1942, and the Allies are attacking Japanese soil for the first time during the war. The paper's headline reads, "The war in Europe is still raging on as well as the Pacific. The world has gone to hell, and it's taking everyone down with it." Sam and his team redouble efforts to take out Hitler, his war machine unveiling weapons that seem almost unstoppable and would have decided the war in favor of Germany early on, had they been put in service sooner. Sam looks out of the modified C-47 transport's window as it nears the drop point. He uses a new radio technology to communicate with Emma back at the safe house, as she is compromised and well known in the German ranks. Sam wonders how she was discovered as the C-47's engine starts sounding off a little at first, but then it's clear the bearings have no oil as the warning goes off. The right side engine seizes. The pilots go through a list of procedures, but nothing alleviates the issues as they try everything. The plane losing altitude fast. Exploding the left side engine takes the wing with it, causing the aircraft to barrel roll uncontrollably toward the earth, ripping the other plane is 10 seconds from impact when one of the pilots pulls a cord above his head. 3 chutes deploy, slowing the plane as it splashes down in Grosser Muggelsee, a natural lake in the eastern suburbs of Berlin, around 14 miles from Hitler's main headquarters in Berlin at Führerbunker. Sam is the first to arrive at the lake shore where a car waits for him. That was not supposed to happen, the driver says as the car pulls away. Engine trouble. Sam replies. The man looks at him in the stained rearview mirror, and then back at the snowy roads. Engine trouble. You make it through many kilometers of enemy sky with no fighters engaging you. You don't really think it was just engine trouble. In our line of work, that would be preferred over a saboteur, the driver says. The car arrives at an underground parking lot, and they are one of only a dozen there. The man backs into a spot against the far wall, then opens the trunk of the car, and there is a series of gears that turn. A pin hidden by the left rear wheel is pushed into a hole. The wheels in barely noticeable grooves lining the car up with the trap door under the trunk. The trunk's floor folds away almost seamlessly to reveal a set of stairs going underground. He gestures for Sam to follow him as he heads down, shutting the trunk, leaving it an inconspicuous vehicle with a secret mechanism sitting in the silent lot. Sam follows him down a corridor until they stop in front of a door with an experimental lock on it that scans his palm. The door clicks open and he lets the man pass through first. He enters a room with a large conference table and a massive fireplace which sits empty. The room is painted in warm earth tones and has at least 24 chairs around the table. There are plaques that recognize various awards and accomplishments, along with pictures of old men at the table throughout the ages. Please, take a seat, the man says as he pulls out a chair for himself at the head of the table. I am Major Klink, and this is my Kommandantur. I run Stalag 13, a POW camp housing captured Allied soldiers. Isn't that dangerous? Sam asks. The German looks at him. Yes, but so far we have helped hundreds escape. But many, many more remain imprisoned, and we need to free them soon. Maybe even if it means going on a suicide mission, he says grimly. Sam thinks about the options carefully and decides on a strategy right away. He turns to the other men arriving with Alexander leading them in. Okay, we fight the enemy where we are not. We set explosives on the strongest side of the camp, but we hit any guns, artillery, or vehicles about half a mile away if possible. We won't be there when the bombs go off on timers. We will be on the complete opposite side of the camp, and we move in to extract the prisoners if the guards on the base get distracted enough, Sam says. Klink and his men seem impressed with the plan, and preparations begin. On the day of the attack, an ambulance, truck, and a few sedans pull up to the front gates. A white flag is run up the pole, and a man approaches the front gate. We have injured in the convoy. Can you please help? After a few minutes, a group of 10 soldiers rush to the German military vehicles, and the German-looking soldiers inside as they ride down the road, arriving to a scene of 2 German units in bullet-riddled vehicles as one on the left side of the road is overturned with a few men screaming beneath it. The German soldiers run to the jeep as the saboteurs and Sam have already rushed away unnoticed, jumping onto 4 electric motorcycles waiting for the blast. The 10 Germans lift the overturned vehicle, freeing the chest of one of the living soldiers enough for him to breathe. Dunar, da ist eine Bombe. You fool, there's a bomb. He says too late, as the anti-tank mine is tripped with a heavy click. The lead soldier's eyes widen hearing his death. Nicht so. Not like that. The mine explodes, clearing the road as it digs a small crater. An RPG fires at its target, back at the Stalag 13. They hear the anti-tank mine and radio the men they sent out, getting no answer. Then, from distance, as the sound reaches them, a reverberating blast. The RPG hitting its mark from 1,500 feet away, firing remotely with a motorized trigger and timer. Stalag 13 buzzes with activity as they radio their forces, getting no answer. Alexander looks at Sam. They aren't leaving, he says. Just wait for it. Worst thing is, we make a new plan if this fails. Sam tells him. As they watch more than half the soldiers from the camp get into or hop onto a vehicle and head towards the explosions to eliminate the enemy that is within reach of their main headquarters. Sam looks at Alexander. Now we just have to take over the camp and hold it till the Allies arrive, Sam says. The German looks at him and asks, "And when will that be?" Sam laughs. "Whenever they find out we took it over. If they can even get this far behind enemy lines with enough strength left to be any use," he says, shaking his head. "Or we could take it over and then bug out back to friendly lines with the Nazis right in our tails the whole time." The resistance fighters move on Stalag 13 as their inside man Klink directs his men's attention to the opposite direction, working until the shooting starts. Several men of the resistance are killed as the men move to cover. Kinchloe and LeBeau try to keep the men calm, but it's futile as shots ring out, killing several resistors and Nazis alike. "Looks like this is the end for us. I want to go home," says Kinchloe as his brother LeBeau takes a bullet to the shoulder. "Get down," Kinch says, dragging his brother behind a stone table as he calls for the last charge. "Fire in the hole," he yells, and throws a large explosive under the feet of the incoming enemy. The blast kills many, and others duck for cover, leaving their fellows to waste their last bullets uselessly at the air. Sam looks at the 8 men left out of 20 as the enemy numbers dwindle. The last 2 soldiers make a run for it down the road to the entrance. Kinch raises his rifle, carefully aiming, but Sam puts his hand on his gun, pushing it. "They're just kids, Kinch. Probably here out of fear," Sam says, watching the 2 boys as they tearfully run away in panic. "Get the POWs into the troop transports and get some into military cloths. We move under the guise of a German unit transporting prisoners to bases that need more laborers. But just in case, grab those steel plates and line the inside of as many transports as you can." "Let's move. We don't have a lot of time," Sam says. "It's been an honor serving with you, sir," Kinch says, looking Sam right in the eye. "The honor is all mine. The finest soldier I have ever known," Sam says back as he turns and walks to the front of the line of transports. The last transport drives off into the distance as a few men stay behind at Stalag 13 and watch them go. "Rear guard, move out," Sam says, as they drive out of the now deserted prison camp. They drive the opposite way and make sure to churn up the soil. Once back on the road, they wind around the German city, slipping by several patrols, having to salute for different groups of soldiers rushing to Stalag 13. They are almost out of Germany when they reach a checkpoint where the transports with the rescued POWs are stopped and papers being checked. One soldier pulls the higher-ranking officer aside, and Sam's gut gets a sinking feeling. Without warning, Klink is shot in the back of the head by an unseen soldier, and the others raise their guns, firing at the transports. Bullets smack into steel as engines reverbores. The convoy lurches into motion as Sam leans out with an MP40 firing at the attacking Nazi soldiers, not bothering to hide behind the thin firewall that offers little to no protection from bullets as he trades the minimal safety of the engine block for accuracy without shattered glass in the way. He picks his shots carefully at first, but he becomes more frantic as it seems like the enemy just won't stop coming. He fires short bursts, not really aiming anymore as the vehicle races along behind the transports. Bullets whiz by and impact the car as they flee. Kinch grabs the RPG on the seat and leans out of the window, firing at the SS squads and soldiers in pursuit. They get past a heavily wooded area and enter a wide expanse of fields, a straight road for miles. Suddenly, the firing stops from every side as they speed along. Sam pulls the mag out, looking at the empty chamber as the Germans chasing have run out of ammo as well. A total of 5 German vehicles are in pursuit, with more coming, but not in sight on the long road. A minute after running out of bullets, the lead transport's engine suddenly explodes through the hood as it throws a rod, the transport slowing to a stop, blocking the road ahead. Soft, wet earth to either side. The column of vehicles from the ambush site is now catching up as Sam turns around and sees the soldiers jumping out with guns ready. In the heat of the moment, forgetting that they had used every bullet, their guns click on empty chambers. Sam smiles at 25 soldiers all lined up across the road. He pulls the pin on a grenade and gambles with his life as he holds it for a few seconds. He gets the sudden urge to throw it, and he lobs the grenade like a fastball pitch at the line of men as they scatter. It explodes, and the blast only takes a few, leaving a small crater in the road. Most of the others are wounded in some way or another, but keep coming. Sam leaps into the transport, barely making it, as bullets from a new group of Germans start impacting the steel plating and zipping by. He looks around and can see more soldiers racing down the road on foot from behind them. A soldier comes around the back, looking into the truck, and Sam leaps into him, knocking him back. He grabs his gun, yanking the smaller man off his feet. The strap breaks. He rolls to the left side of the truck. Looking up, he sees 5 Germans caught by surprise and opens fire. Then, moving quickly, ducks away as bullets zing past him, grabbing the fallen enemy's guns for the others. Looking down from his plane, he can see his fellow countrymen shooting at transports as a man in civilian clothing runs around the front of the second to last. A group of people climbing into it. He banks his fighter, keeping the proper angle of attack. Lining up his gun sights, he pulls the trigger. As the guns bark flame and the plane rocks, he turns back to look at the destruction. By the time he lands, his day is done. Running around the front of the transport, Sam looks at the incoming enemy and knows they are all about to die here. He leans out, firing at the 50 freshly armed Germans, and gets hit in the side, falling to the ground. Looking up, he sees a fighter open up with its guns, and he covers himself in panic as 430 caliber Brownings and 250 calibers rip through the German soldiers in a rain of tracers and unseen impactors. Then he realizes it. The easily identifiable sound of a P-51 roars by overhead. Sam looks up at the plane as it swooshes overhead, and he waves in thanks to his savior, the German-born pilot wiggling his wings as he radios into HQ. A search party is sent out from the friendly lines on the horizon as the P-51 circles overhead, eventually being joined by 2 others that take its place as the pilot returns to base for fuel. Hours later, Emma walks up to Sam as he and the group sit within Allied territory and remember all those lost. Sam hugs Emma, kissing her, and then lays back in pain as he wonders if the other transports made it to Allied territory or safe houses like the plan had been. The next day, he gets news that they had some casualties, but had made it through as well.